I made 4 obstacle courses with 3 lanes in each map, and then I took all of the trios in Brawl Stars and I put them in a massive bracket and made them square off. The rules are simple. You win, you move on. You lose, you go home. There are no rules, and there can only be one winner today, where we find out who is the best trio in this episode of Brawl Wars. Now, there are 15 fully fledged trios in the game, but this is a 16-team bracket, so I randomly placed the remaining 6 brawlers into teams and had them face off against each other in a play-in round. Whoever wins will move into the official bracket, and for the teams, we have the Castle Force and the Golden Hazard. Yes, I made those names up. I know they're not good. Deal with it. As these teams get going, you'll notice that there are 3 lanes. On the top lane is where the action starts, and when they get to the end of that lane, they're going to trigger a portal, letting their teammates know that they have finished their section and giving them a green light to race on. The brawlers are free to attack each other and use their abilities and, well, pretty much do whatever they like, so long as they don't kill the other contestants. After the first 2 lanes were run, it comes down to Colonel Ruffs versus Buzz. Now, Buzz flexes that buoy and the extra damage, and while he wasn't able to break a wall like Ruffs, his splash damage and his mobility sent his team into the bracket and Ash back to picking up the trash. Retropolis versus the Golden Hazard. Starting off this match, Crow tries to keep up with Stu by using that super and then slowing him down, but a last-second dash and Stu makes it in just before Crow does. Now, Sneaky Belle gets out early and places a couple traps for BB. However, her superior speed closed the gap as they are both neck and neck coming into the last lane, where we see Bull and Buzz face off. Now, Buzz has a slight lead over Bull, and once again he uses his super to get to the boxes ahead of his competition, but Bull charges through the bones and breaks open one wall and the boxes in one shot. Buzz's piercing damage, however, is able to destroy the boxes faster than Bull, and because of that, the Golden Hazard once again moves on. Old Town versus the Arcade. We see Barley and Rico start off this race up top, where instantly Barley gets that sticky syrup on the ground, slowing Rico, but he catches back up slightly and overtakes our friendly Barkeep. Now, 8-Bit got out ahead and placed a super to give himself maximum teleporting distance, and after one teleport, followed by another gadget over the wall, he's able to beat Byron to the portal, where he unleashes the Arcade star player Brock. Now, Brock absolutely demolishes this map, where he cruises to an easy victory while Piper is still, well, struggling to open the boxes. That means that the winner of the next matchup will move on to the semifinals. Now, for this quarterfinals match on a brand new map, the unlikely and, well, jumbled trio of Belle, Buzz, and Stu face off against the powerhouses of the Arcade trio. Now, for this map, you have to have a brawler that can get past a barricade in lane 1, so we see 8-Bit and Stu on the top lane. 8-Bit teleports past the wall while Stu just smashes straight through it. This destruction gives Buzz a slight lead in the bottom lane, and Rico makes a vital mistake not having his star power engaged and loses some ground. Now, this is a competition, not controlled test, so mistakes will be made and the team has to overcome them. Now, in this case, they do just that, as Brock easily covers up Rico's misstep and blasts his way through the field of bones and boxes. This makes the Arcade trio the first semifinalist in today's action. Moving on to the next section, we have the Gift Shop trio versus the Snowtail. Now, Lou is able to freeze Colette in her tracks right out of the start, but using her super to perfection, she flies forward and hits that portal, letting Griff run free. Well, if it weren't for that tornado. Now, he further gets slowed down by a super from Gale, but he still manages to finish closely behind the janitor. Now, if you remember in the last obstacle course video, you'll know that Edgar is amazing at these courses, and even though Mr. P gets off to a strong lead, he is simply no match for the speed and the power of Edgar as he closes the gap, smashing the boxes along with the hopes and dreams of Mr. P and his crew. The Junkers versus the Shamans. Starting off in the top lane, we see Jessie versus Beau. Now, they both have the ability to slow each other, Jessie with her gadget and Beau with his star power. Those two things basically cancel each other out and they reach the portal side by side. While Leon uses his superior speed, Nani simply just takes a massive shortcut to reach the end, and by doing this, she closes the gap on Leon and makes this race a nail-biter. Nita looks for her opportunity to get Bruce involved, and she does so by stunning Pam with her gadget. Pam, however, uses her turret and star power to deal extra damage to the boxes. As they round the corner, it is a close match, but thanks to Bruce and that stun, the Shamans just edge out the Junkers and move on to face the Gift Shop trio. Once again in the top lane, two brawlers with wall-breaking abilities are chosen in Griff and Beau. They both make it through the walls without much issue, but a gadget timed just right not only blows open Beau's wall, but also stuns Griff. It didn't make much difference, but they are going to need every step that they can get in this tight race. Moving down to Colette and Leon, where Leon gets out faster than she does, but is slowed down by the spikes. Once again, Colette hits that portal just right, triggering the final leg of this race, where Edgar is next to Nita. This time, Nita is unable to get Bruce out ahead of Edgar, which leaves him jumping over the wall, and once again anchors the final leg to send the Gift Shop trio as our second semi-finalist. On the other side of the bracket, we have some eager competitors, starting with the Undead trio versus the Jungle trio. Now, if there's one thing that we know about the Jungle trio, it's that Sprout is the ultimate troll, and Ems, unfortunately, is on the receiving end of this trolling, and she can do nothing but watch the little Sprout just roll away. For the next leg, however, we have the Speedy Mortis, and he's got a lot of ground to make up. To make matters worse, his old feet are slowed down by the honeypot of Bee. However, with all of that, he still manages to close a massive gap and get to the portal not too far behind Bee, making this a much closer race. Rosa gets that early head start thanks to Sprout, but Frank is determined to catch back up. Rosa almost made it all the way to the boxes before Frank even starts, but with his huge hammer, he breaks down the wall and hits the boxes at once. However, it is too late as the Jungle trio edges out the Undead thanks to the rolling troll in lane 1. Wild West versus Mystic. In the top lane, we see Jean versus Shelly. Now, she tries to sprint away, but he uses that magic hand to pull her back, which makes her finish in the wrong lane. This confuses Spike. Well, at least we think it did. He didn't really tell us. Spike, however, is able to make up some of that ground with a super that slows Sandy down just a tiny bit. However, it is not enough, as going into the last leg, the Wild West trio is slightly behind the Mystic trio. Waiting at the starting line on the third leg is Colt and his pistols. He unleashes his super on the boxes and the bones and the wall in one fell swoop, and any early confusion by Spike is wiped away in a blaze of glory as the Wild West moves forward in the bracket to face off against the Jungle trio. Now, remember when I told you about that wall in lane 1 and having to have a teammate that can break it? Well, the troll Sprout gets a taste of his own medicine, as after he drops a wall in front of Shelly and spins on her, he then realizes that not only he, but no member of his team can break walls. So he's left there, standing, frustrated, angry. Not only him, but his team is left at their starting line, never able to move, where the Wild West trio win in the biggest blowout in this tournament. Can you say instant karma? Yeah. That means that the Wild West trio is the third team to make the semifinals, but who will be the fourth? Let's find out as we move into the last bracket. The Entertainers versus the Superheroes. Now, these two teams are stacked with speed, power, and agility. However, Poco, well, I mean, hey, at least he went out in style as Max ran away from him, giving the Superheroes a big lead. Now, moving down to the bottom lane, Amber pops her gadget in an attempt to close the gap, but Surge has not one, but two gadgets of his own to get away, and he retains that lead. Now, moving on to the final leg, Meg has a healthy lead, but coming from behind with a huge leap, El Primo pretends he has 10 gems, and the boxes are the enemy spawn, and he lands dead center of them all. He smashes the boxes and carries his team to a big come-from-behind win over the Superheroes. Miners versus Pirates. Now Daryl and his crew have shown up and are ready to get the other team to swab the deck. Carl, however, tries to fool him with his pirate skin. He puts on a pretty convincing show as he uses that flying hook and then his super to sail away from Tick. Daryl, being the filthy pirate that he is, cheats a bit and he leaves the blocks earlier than he should have. Nevertheless, they move into the final leg of the race where Penny uses that splash damage to get the bones and the boxes while Dynamite... oof. Yeah, that's not good. I think I heard Daryl and his crew say something about it's not cheating if you don't get caught. Entertainers versus the Pirates. Now to see who will be the last team moving into the semifinals, we have El Primo and crew facing off against the Pirates. The Pirates. El Dragon has to start this race because he is the only one on his team who can clear walls, and he does so in style by flying over the wall in all of his pink glory. Penny, however, finishes close behind where we send it down the map and we find Poco helping out Daryl by breaking some of his bones for him, but Daryl decides, yo, I don't need it, and he just simply rolls to the other side, giving his team a big lead. Moving into the final stretch, we have the always annoying Tick pitted against the pyromaniac Amber. They both make it through the boxes where they get hung up a little, but a late gadget isn't enough for Amber to catch back up as the Pirates sail across the finish line and into the semifinal. Wait a second, this just in. The judges have reviewed the footage and have caught Daryl and his dastardly crew cheating. Now the miners have already left the arena and went back to the mines, so a ruling has come down to disqualify the Pirates, and that means that the entertainers will move forward into the semifinals. Cheating never wins, except for when it does. So now there are only 4 teams left. Who will be the first one to move into the championship round? Arcade Trio versus the Gift Shop. A brand new map comes into play as we see a ton of bones waiting in lane 1. Rico has engaged his star power, and that gives him a slight edge over Griff in the early game. Now down in the bottom lane, we have Colette and 8-Bit. He gets out to an early lead by throwing his super over the water and then teleporting to it, but Colette isn't far behind him, and then with a great play, she pushes 8-Bit back as well as hits her boxes going out and coming back in, and going into the final stretch, Edgar once again flexes his prowess and leaps to the boxes, hitting his gadget while pummeling them to the ground. Edgar already has another super charged up, and he leaps over the final wall and into the finals where they will face off against the winner of the Wild West Trio versus the Entertainers. Now, the Entertainers may have gotten this far because of the cheating ways of the Pirates, but they intend to show that they deserve to be here as they start the race with Poco on the top, who finds himself slowed down by Spike. Finish neck and neck and send it down the map to Shelly versus Amber. They both make it out of the gates clean, around the water, and to the boxes pretty darn fast. Once they both clear that, the 2 powerhouses, El Primo and Colt, wait in the wings. Now, Colt makes a great play by hitting the boxes and the wall all with 1 super, but it's just simply not enough as El Primo is able to leap over the wall and into the final round. So then it all comes down to this: the Gift Shop Trio versus the Entertainers. Who will emerge victorious? Who will be today's winner and be crowned the best trio in Brawl Wars? Let's find out. We have one final map, and it is the biggest of them all. To start off the match, we see Colette versus Poco in the top lane. Now, while they both have the same foot speed, Colette has showed today that she is able to use her super in some really great ways. Poco is able to hit both boxes at once, but Colette uses her super to hit them both as well, and then quickly recharges it, and then uses one last final super to give her team the head start in the bottom lane. Griff has a slight lead coming out of the blocks, but Amber uses her gadget to close the gap. Griff decides not to use his gadget to take out the wall, but instead opts to walk around it. It seems to work out for him though, as he maintains a slight lead on Amber. Going into the final leg of the final match, we have El Primo and Edgar just chomping at the bit. Now this map features a big water area as well as a wall, so these brawlers will have to move quickly around the or just jump right over it all. They both start on the boxes, but Edgar and his scarf are able to finish him off just before El Primo does, where he makes his way to the jump pad and he simply just throws the team on his back and carries them to victory, where they are the champion of Trio Brawl Wars. So congrats to the winners of that fake trophy and glory. You all have won it all, but I also want to give a shout out to everybody who helped me make this video, everybody who participated, as well as Timbit for being the best meat shield Frank that I've ever played with. You guys rock. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.